Okay, welcome, everybody. Welcome to Help the Helpers. And we are ready to start with the delicious topic of leadership. So, before we start, let's take a moment and take some breaths and center ourselves in our bodies, in our time and places all over the world. Some of you have been coming to Help the Helpers for 6 years. Is that right? Oh my God. And it's going to be our anniversary soon. And some of you are here for the first time. Raise your hands if you're here for the first time. Good, good. And let's just take a stretch and look at each other. Good morning to Sashi.
Good morning. Good morning.
Fiona Parr is back today, and new is Aurea from Montreal.
I'm going to be going to Montreal in October, Ariel. So maybe I'll see you there.
It's Montreuil, France, but who knows? Maybe I'll be in Montreal too.
Okay. What
LYNN,
part of
Oops.
France is that?
Oh, it's very close to Paris. It's just north of
Ah,
Paris.
ah. Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
So, before we begin our delicious topic of leadership, I want to kind of place us and this. I realized when I was suggesting to you almost 6 years, it is 6 years. It was April 6 years ago. The pandemic that we started Help the Helpers. So happy anniversary, Help the Helpers. And I wanted to place this moment where we're expanding all of our projects. And this topic of leadership is a really important topic for these times. Our world seems like it's just going crazy without any real leadership, or at least that's the way it seems to me. And we desperately need leadership, but we tend to think of leadership as those other people out there that have some magical powers of influencing the mega influences or something. And I would like for us today to think about leadership in a focusing kind of way, to think about what it is, and to think about it that it isn't out there or only qualities that are in us, but that leadership is an interaction. And so we're going to get into that this morning. But first, I want to show you this umbrella, and I'll tell you about it. Christine will put it on the screen for us. FOTA is a new association of focusing-oriented therapists, and it's an umbrella of many different projects that we're bringing together. And Help the Helpers and community empowerment were one of some of the first. Now we have an international training for group leaders, Forge, and we have a new website, and we have a YouTube channel with almost 2,000 subscribers, and we have a journal. So we have all kinds of things under this umbrella. And the umbrella itself is a kind of leadership. So we can take the umbrella away. I just wanted to give you this image of us this morning under this lovely new umbrella. And the point of the umbrella is to bring together all of these projects. And the point of the projects is to bring everybody all over the world together in helping the world and each other and ourselves through focusing. So that sort of places us. I also want to mention that I'm starting a new series about focusing-oriented psychotherapy that will be for advanced therapists and also for beginners. And Christine, it starts next week, right? The 21st at 11 o'clock, New York time. So anybody who's interested in more information about that series, please put your name in the chat or connect with us, and we'll send you a flyer about it. Actually, Christine, you could put the flyer in the chat. That might be helpful.
I'm putting a link for it.
Good. That sounds very good. So I see everybody is arriving. I see Rachel and Isabel and Dorothy, who has a beautiful poem for us this morning. Okay, so we want to start with our typical focusing question for the new people here this morning. This is often how we start. We ask the question, what do we want the word leadership to mean? Because words are just handles for some big thing. And they're only as good as their graspability. A good handle is one that's comfortable in your hand and that enables you to do something. And so words are like that. Words are able to conjure up for us whole big worlds, like the world of leadership. So I want to ask you before we even start, this isn't going to be me presenting so much as us talking about leadership in a focusing kind of way. What does the word conjure up for you? Just let's have a couple of, just call out a couple of things that the word conjures up for you. Not thought out. What's right there?
Yeah, I have facilitation.
Facilitation, yes. And
And
facilitation is a lovely word, isn't it? Because it's not like I'm going to do this thing to you, I'm going to lead you, but it's I'm going to help this thing to happen. I'm going to help this thing to grow. It's a beautiful word. You were going to say something else. I cut you off.
yeah, another one is like enabling, bringing out the best in people so they feel they've got the space to bring what they have.
Yes, yes, yes. Enabling people,
Mm.
empowering.
Empowering, yeah.
Anybody else? Just whatever is there for you.
Can't raise my hand. I don't see it.
Oh,
But,
yeah. Yeah.
So,
One thing I have to say is I have poor vision, so everybody's responsible for encouraging people by seeing their raised hands if I don't see them.
okay.
Go ahead, Ruth.
So, yeah, what came for me is holding a space
Mm,
to create and hold that space in which something else can happen. I think
holding
that's
a space. And that's a term that we use a lot in focusing. What does it mean? What does it mean to you, Ruth, to hold a space?
well, it's the difference between when there's a bunch of people and
Mhm.
all kinds of things are happening with I can do it with my arms. I don't know if you can see my picture now, but
No,
it's
just your, yeah,
and you can't see anyway.
there,
Um,
okay.
it's to wow, how to say hold a space to create a sense of a common, there's a common something happening within our shared space, whether it doesn't have to be physical, it could be obviously be online. You do it quite nicely, Lynn. And I think a real leader can make it feel safe and kind of hold the energy to welcome whatever's going to happen, whether it's a teaching thing or a therapy thing or uh, even dinner party. There's a sense of there's
Uh-huh,
something very precious holding
yeah,
this
yeah. Holding,
that holding a space means to me. And I appreciate that you asked what I mean by it, because it's important to be able to articulate it, and I don't know that I can at the moment. I guess
you did that. I want to say one part back that holding a space is holding the energy of the group. Is that what you said? It's sort of gathering the energy and holding it so something can come forward. And that was a beautiful way of saying it, I think.
right. It and and it includes a sense of safety within the walls of this space, because that's how the most um, precious things can come forward, is when people feel safe enough to share from um, not just their conscious or their thought knowing, but from another place as well.
And it might be, I wonder if you'll agree with this, Ruth, that holding a space is making safety. That when you hold
Yeah,
a
for
space,
sure, for sure.
then people feel safe. It's not like you make them feel safe first and then you hold a space,
No,
but
no,
that
no.
holding the space has this safety in it.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
Yep, that's
beautiful.
part of it. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else have anything about holding a space?
Well, just to build on that, dear Lynn,
Yes, dear
Ruth,
Rose.
um, what I'd been sitting with before, and then Ruth put a lot of it into words, but I just want to bring in the word the whole, right? So
Mm,
I had jotted down here caring about and tending the whole,
mm,
including all of the parts within the whole, right? Because it's this both
mm,
and about parts and whole. And of course, whole, Ruth said this space, it's like, well, how are we defining the whole? And there's this wonderful engaged Buddhist thinkers. I haven't fully read and digested what they're saying, but they're talking about our caring as being potentially expanding cones. For some reason they have this geometric image of cones that can be expanding more fully. And last thing, I just want to say that I think that's part of why so many of us are feeling that there's a lack of leadership right now, because we're not really sensing that there's very many people who are caring about the whole, right? And there may be people in positions of institutional authority or whatever, leverage, that are being very, very narrow. Like, I just care about us and I don't care about them. And there's I don't know, there's a way that I feel that some part of us really, as humans, we're drawn to this notion of ever expanding wholes, having care for ever expanding wholes. So I'll pause there.
Yeah, beautiful. Caring about the whole, and that's a very focusing thing too. It's seeing human life and all life, not only human life, as an interactive forward movement, development, evolution, and caring about the whole thing, not seeing just a little part. And you probably all know the story of the ancient building of temples, and a guy is making cement or something, and they say, "What are you doing?" And he's placing a stone. You'll know the story better than me. And one guy says, "Oh, I'm putting the stone here." Another guy says, um, "I'm helping to build this path." Another guy says, "We're building a temple that will last forever and ever," and that sense of being contributing to this whole life is very much a part of a focusing sensibility, and also a part of majorly a part of leadership. I've thought about what I call us thinking, and us thinking is so much a part of leadership. Instead of thinking of me, only me, or us, you and me, or us, this family, or us, this country, thinking of the big us, and how the me that I find when I focus inside is a microcosm of this whole great big everything, us. And us thinking is very magical. It just gives us a completely different point of view, because we're on a different, we're on a mountain looking at all of the surround as us. Anybody else?
Morning, Lynn, and everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm
Just
eager
sort
to
of
hear
jumping
what you
in.
have to say. Yes, go ahead,
Just
Polly.
jumping in. Wow, when you talk about us thinking, I'm thinking another concept for that might be all that there is, which is kind of pretty much everything.
Mm.
And within that, then there's identities, and just two images of like the Pope and that orange man in the White House today, saying that the Pope doesn't know much about foreign policy. So it's kind of like that affects everyone or no one. It's if you identify with what is the leader or the leader's image of themselves, whatever it is, because leaders implies a following. And so it's always like good to know what you're following, even energetically. So that's just my opening response to us thinking all that is.
All
That's
that
it.
is. The
Yeah, all of
whole
it.
great big all together, everything is us. Yeah, we're not separate from anything. And it's interesting to think about leaders and followers, because it makes this distinction. I'm a leader. So many of you people here who I've spoken to will say, well, I'm not a leader. Does anybody feel like that? I'm not a leader. Are you a follower? Liz is nodding her head. Liz, by the end of this meeting, I'm going to show you how you are a leader. Maybe. We'll see.
I was thinking just now if I could say one little anecdote. When I
Please.
was a little girl, maybe I was about 7, and my mother was filling out an application for day camp for the summer. And there was a questionnaire, and they asked, is your child a leader? You could check it, or a follower? You could check it. My mother said, that's so stupid. And she checked both.
Good. That's just what I was getting at.
And it's also how my mother was, not ever going to listen to an authority.
Yes, your mother and you take leadership in what we used to call in the 60s questioning authority.
Yeah,
Which
I
is,
had the button question authority.
oh, we
Yeah.
did. Well, you're prepared. Yes. In the handout that I sent you, I have the example of a baby crying. And we think of the mother as or the caretaker as the leader and the baby following. But when we look at those videos of mothers and infants, of course it's not like that. The baby initiates by crying. The mother responds to the baby. The mother picks the baby up. That the baby settles into the mother's arms. There's a leading and a following. And they aren't really separable. Following is also a kind of leadership. It's a cooperation. It's a witness. So we want to take those categories that we've sort of been given and really look at them and complexify them and see how each of us participates in leadership. Before we go there, just think for a moment, this will be a focusing moment, of a leader that is a leader for you. Somebody that inspires you, somebody that you think of, a member of what Donna Orange calls your inner chorus. Those are all the voices inside that sort of encourage you. Who do you think of as a leader? Rachel, I know who you're going to say. I think Rachel is the only one who I know. So I don't want you to think too deeply about it. I want you to think of what you assume, and it's always just there, and you don't examine it, you just assume it. So let's call out names of people in the world that we think of as not just leaders, but our leaders, the ones we've sort of taken to, the ones who we're under their umbrella. And others of you put them in the chat. So let's just have everybody's, just say the names of the leaders that are
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Mary Tingley, our minister.
Ah, what is her name? Say it again.
Mary Tingley.
Mary Daly. Yeah.
Who's
When
Mary Daly? Who's that?
You're a minister,
Oh, thank you.
minister of the church. Yeah, it doesn't have to be people that other people know. You can say anything.
Richard Pryor, comedian.
Yes.
Groundbreaking.
Yes.
Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada.
Ah.
Lynn, when we were growing up, it was soon after the partition in
Yes.
1997, and we were so influenced by what Gandhiji did. We called him Gandhiji or Bapu, like father and Bapu.
Babu. Oh, yes.
Mothers will cite his example in teaching children about self-discipline, about, he was like, there are leaders which are God-like, but there are leaders which are human-like. So he was a human, and we could relate to him, and he included all. He included all. I think we felt belonging to him without. I never saw him. I never met him. But yeah, he tugged at your heart and gave you a sense of identity, security, ambition, ideas, hopes, like that.
Wow. 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 And I love calling him Babu.
Bapu, Bapu,
Did I?
Bapu. It's Bapu, means Bap, means father.
Bob.
Father.
Am I saying it wrong? Babu?
Bapu, Bapu.
Oh, Bapu. Bapu. Yes, yes, yes. Good. Yeah. Yeah. And you're emphasizing there that a leader is someone who helps people feel belonging.
And give them identity and gives them hope. And you know that they're not selfish, that they know that they have your best interest at heart. You feel it. And everybody's included. Like the servant in our house felt just as much that he was a leader as I felt. Everybody felt like that he was covering all. Yeah.
What was the humanness about him that made people feel that they belonged, that they counted, that they were important?
I think, for example, I mean, these seems very queer now when you like odd that he said that he would only own a piece of cloth to cover himself because the whole of India was so poor that he would be living like them,
Mm.
would be eating so much food because that's all he could afford, given all the condition of things like that, which seems like very strange, but yeah, he just did those kinds of things which touched people's heart. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
And,
yes.
and the current prime minister is also very much like him because he doesn't own anything.
Ah,
The India's prime minister does not own his own house. He doesn't own anything.
ah.
He had a piece of land that he gave away. So
Mm.
all he's thinking is the welfare of actually, he says the world is the family.
The world is the family. I love that.
Priyanka wrote Vasudev Kutumbam means we all one family. He considers the whole world as one family. But when
Beautiful.
it comes, if somebody's gonna come into his house, he's gonna protect his family, But
Yes,
the whole world is.
yes, yes, yes.
So it's different from a religion because it's not. It's much more humane. It's much more something that you can connect to. It's not so ideal,
Mhm.
It's like real, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Sashi. You can feel our atmosphere thickening with all of these leaders that are coming in to our midst.
So if you were to go to India now, and meet anybody in the street. They love Modi. They love him. They just love him, you know. Um, I I love him. I think he's great.
I see that. Yes, yes.
LYNN, it's BJ.
Yeah,
Hi,
BJ.
hi,
Hi.
hi, everybody. I just have to say, Sashi, I can't thank you enough. I have never heard a person speak about having an experience of the living Gandhi. And what an astonishing thing to hear you say he tugged at your heart. Just thank you so much.
And BJ, when you look at Sashi and you look at her face, you can see how she loves those leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love is a big thing, isn't it? And I mean, we can't get into the subject of love because that would be a big, 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 big thing. But we can see that on people's faces, that experience of belonging, of being inspired, of affection.
I tell you, it's not going to take a little bit of time, but you know, we have untouchables in India. When I was growing up, there's an untouchable that you're not supposed to touch them. You're not supposed to um, let them enter certain parts of the house and what have you. So, you know, we had this woman who would come and clean the bathroom. It's kind of really sad and shameful things to talk about, but one day this woman offered me popcorn. She had popcorn. She says, "You want to eat some?" And this is like, oh my God, you're going to eat from her hand? So I took some and I was like, all Gandhiji, you know, like everybody's same. So I took some and I ate them. And my younger sister, she was watching and she wanted to take a revenge on me. She told my mother that she ate popcorns from her hand. And my mother, who was very, very knowledgeable and very wise woman and very progressive, but she was still so entrenched in those things. So she came after me to hit me that how dare I do that, you know. I said, Gandhiji did that. Gandhiji said everybody's equal. I was probably 10 or 12 or something like that. But you know, so you were inspired for those ideals. You just you thought out of the box of your family. You challenged. There was no way of challenging family's values except to say, well, he did that, so I can do it.
Yes, yeah. Wow, there's so much in that story, isn't there? That a leader sort of inspires or makes something possible. And then you took leadership by taking the popcorn, and you took leadership with your mother of saying, you know, Gandhi did it. Did your mother respect that?
I think she was partially she was proud and partially she was mad. I think my mother. She never told me that she was proud, but she was kind of laughing when she was yelling at me or something.
I see, I see.
My
Yeah.
mother was a leader. My mother was a leader in the community. So, but you know, she was also traditional. She was also,
It kind of reminds me of a story about one of my clients told me about when she was a very little girl, maybe 3 or something. She went to church with her mother, and they pass around the communion, which is the bread and the wine that BJ would tell us all about this, that Jesus gave to his disciples in the Last Supper. And her mother said, no, that's not for you. And my client said, as this little 3-year-old, Jesus said it's for everyone. And her mother had to let her take the little glass of wine and the little wafer. It's for everyone. Any last leaders that need to be represented here?
I have something which is maybe it's slightly off topic from what you just said, Lynn, but it's picking up on what Sashi said. The woman next door, when I was very small, must have been really hurt and angry, because when my ball would go into her yard, she would come out in rage. And I remember, it's a very clear memory when I was 4. I remember going up and knocking on her door and saying with just complete something, I don't like you, but I love you.
Huh. Wow.
And a sense I've had, there's a thread, like it started with, I think, Ruth, and it threaded through Rosa and Pauline, the whole. And there's something childlike. Like when someone is globalizing, you kind of know it's a very young something in them. But then there's this sort of wisdom side of that childlike, which feels and loves everything and is completely moved or could think of forever. And we lose track of that fresh, childlike wonder.
Yeah. And that is a quality of leadership, and also a quality of, what can we say? I don't want to say followers, participators. It's like you choose in some way, in some part of you choose which umbrellas in the world, who are your leaders. And that quality of childlike wonder is part of that, of belonging to a leader. But I want to turn now to the next step. Are we ready? Because we're running out of time. I'd love to have loads of time to just talk with you more about your leaders.
Lynn,
But yeah,
I just wanted to quickly say what's come up with this whole idea of Eric, and then the idea of love, and Sashi's talking about Gandhi. It just raised in me, or woke in me, that whole idea of the desire to love a leader. And it does partly come from a childlike place. And I remember feeling that about Obama, and putting up his photograph in my home. And like I still have that photograph, like somehow this memory of what it felt like to admire and love a leader from all ages of my being, and wanting to then, when you said the idea of follower, it's not so much a follower but support, provide support, contribution, make calls, whatever that means. So I just wanted to
yes. And that brought back such a memory for me of sitting in a bar watching the election, and all the people cheering for Obama, and just feeling bursting with exhilaration.
Lynn,
Yeah.
I know you're wanting to go somewhere. I think this is so important. What Dorothy brought up, and then this thing about how I think that part part of the reason why we as humans tend to not step into our leadership is because culturally we expect leaders to be perfect and we project all kinds of things onto them. And then when they inevitably disappoint us because they're human, then it's like we totally flip to the other side. And I just have to name it, being Latina and everything that happened around Cesar Chavez. And so, like, that's in the field right now in terms of leadership, but it's not an isolated case, right? It's like all humans who are leaders have their shadow side, and I'm not trying to dismiss it, and I'm not trying to say it doesn't matter, but it's like this dynamic that I really do think that part of us feels like we have to be perfect to be a leader, and we know we're not perfect, and so we don't want to step up to leadership. But then also, as a culture, we don't support leaders. We don't acknowledge that they're humans. We set them up for failure. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to jump back in here again. I'm really struck, Rosa, by saying that Lynn wanted to go somewhere, you know, and I have that sense that we're going somewhere, whether it's part of a story or not, you know. So, and my sense of real good leadership is that we are self-led, you know, this group of 33, so that there's new models where we are individuals, and really taking up Eric's point of the childlike. But it mightn't be childlike. It's like when we're adults, we decide actually what our next step is, you know, and choose leaders accordingly. You know, the idea of the old world traditions, including Gandhi and including anyone that would set themselves up as a visionary. You know, I think the new vision has to come from a democracy where we're individuals and adults and wanting a new place to go to in ourselves, you know, that whatever that is, you know. So really, and a lot of us here already know the felt sense of, well, what's alive in us, and are we brave enough to follow that leadership, self-leadership in ourselves, you know. So it's like wherever this even story is unfolding, my sense, and that's only my sense, of not being led is to really honor the felt sense, what's happening, what's alive in us now, so that we're not actually being led somewhere we don't need to go anymore, you know. So anyway, that's my next breath. Thank you.
Can you feel how this meeting is the leading and following and leading and following? Can you feel the emergence in the group? How have you been taking leadership, you know, in this meeting? When Rosa says and Pauline says and BJ says, Lynn, this was particularly Rosa said, Lynn, I know you want to go there, but I have to say this. That's an act of leadership, right? And Pauline and BJ and many of you, it's this following but not relinquishing yourself, but following also what's inside you, right? And initiating something. Often I think leadership is questioning the assumptions, and that's Liz's and Jim's a form of leadership, of questioning the assumptions and saying, but what about this? And pointing something out. So you're going naturally, you know, organically to the place that I want us to come to, which is how we take leadership all the time, to notice it, to pay attention to it, to support it in ourselves. We are interaction, Jenlin tells us, we're interaction with ourselves and with everybody else. And this interaction with ourselves, we're also leading ourselves and listening to something in us that says, wait, Lynn, don't go. And I see Liz's hand is up. Would you like to say something, Liz?
Yeah, I was thinking about as well, yeah, leading, whatever. But I wanted to respond to Rosa because it's on my mind about how we look at our leaders, that they're not supposed to be human. And I think you brought up Cesar Chavez. And so I wanted to just bring up the idea. There's one way of looking at it, maybe that's, well, they're human too. But another way of looking at these people who are mostly men who do these horrible things, mostly to women, or at least I'm sure they do horrible things to men too, but different kinds of horrible things to women, that it comes with the leadership, that it's not just, well, we're all human, don't look at them to be perfect, but that there's something about people who want to be leaders, who are leaders, who go forward, who have that kind of assertion, aggression, seeking power that goes with the abuse. They're not just, oh, we're all human, they're human. It's a certain kind of human, or it's a certain kind of will to power.
Mm-hmm.
That then we're not surprised when it's in this arena, but then it goes into this arena and it goes too far. I don't know that that's just, oh, well, they're human too.
Right. You're saying that there's something in the impulse toward leadership, toward toward taking a stand, toward initiating, toward that also brings crossing boundaries, and then and that can be for good or for harm.
Yes, and I could say maybe we could talk about confidence that veers into entitlement. And if you want to look at it from another structure, you could use that word narcissism. Not that, I mean, there are many ways to use the word narcissism, we know that, but the kind of bad way, that I, can do whatever I want.
Right. And so, of course, Liz, that's her job, is pointing out the dark side, the underbelly of leadership, the confidence of I am the one that's the powerful one, and I can do anything I want, right?
Yes, and I wasn't going to say it until it occurred to me a little bit, but it was when Rosa said something about, well, they're human too, that something in me wanted to come forward and say, it's not really that they're human too. It's something else.
Yes. Let's look.
Lynn, I just need to say that I'm really fascinated by what Liz is saying, and I also feel like it's misrepresenting what I was saying, or like that. So it's fine. I don't need to go into it further, but I just don't want to be yeah, I think it's a real nuanced, fascinating topic that I could say a lot about, and I don't necessarily want to. I do want to take one moment.
Go ahead. This is sort of like, we're always coming back to what is focusing about this group. And Liz is you're saying, well, that wasn't really reflecting what I was saying. That's what Liz is saying, and you're distinguishing what you were saying. You meant it
Yeah.
a different way. He's only
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think, oh, I think we need to change our social system if we want people who are less power hungry to step up to leadership, right? Because I think that at this point, you have to be willing to face death threats to be a political leader. And there's a positive side to that, and there's a shadow side to that kind of hubris, right? So I really resonate with a lot of what Lynn is saying. I do think that we tend to project onto people and put them up on a pedestal and make them superhuman, and that there's a way that that contributes to making it easier for them to act out whatever shadow side they have. I mean, it's not as simple as, oh, they're human too. I totally agree. That's not what I meant. And they are human, right? It's like what happens to someone that they turn into a Hitler, or that they turn into a this, or that they turn into a Goebbels, which is even scarier, right? Like somebody who just appears totally normal and yet is willing to just follow orders, right? Which is a different kind of horribleness. I think that the question of evil is very real. We don't talk about it and focusing a lot. But and what is it that makes us humans susceptible to all that horrible stuff? And then how does that affect each of our willingness to step into more leadership? Because that's what I really care about with you. Like I really resonated with what you wrote and your call and this thing and this invitation to each person to like, how do we step more into our leadership? And if we believe that, well, all leaders are fatally flawed and power hungry and whatever, then we'll hold back from that. So anyway, that's all. It's scattered. There's no coherent thing there, but thank you.
Well, I think I think that where we're going is we're expanding the field here, and that one way of expanding the field is to talk about love, and that's this big, right? And the other one is to talk about evil, and love and evil are these very, very big things, and they're part of leadership, and we need to be able to talk about them and think about them. But for this morning, if it's okay with you, I want to bring us back down, because I think that that's a wonderful contribution of focusing, is that we can take these very, very big things and we can come right down to our felt sense, to the moment, to the experience, to the interaction in this moment. And so I want to ask you, how are you taking leadership now? And how do you take leadership in the Help the Helpers group? But just even looking at how we take leadership. I have a few qualities, and they're in the handout. Maybe you could take them. And I'd be curious if we could look at them together. I have to find them on my iPad. And see if how we've been doing these things. These are qualities of leadership. And again, leadership isn't something that you have this quality inside you. It's a way of relating. Leadership is something interactive. So if we look at these things, how have we been doing them? Do you all have that's in the chat?
I just want to say one thing quickly.
Yeah.
just to add to the mix, is I have a sense, but I don't know at all for sure, of course, is that we might be coming into a phase, maybe not tomorrow, where there's no such thing as leadership in the way we've been talking about it. For example, if we're going to use nature as our teacher, which tree is leading in the forest? Which is the sun leading, the moon is the, if you really think about it, and this is beyond my capacity, actually, it's just a sense that because it's become so controversial, and okay, for example, the spiritual teachers, they used to be really something, and then some of them abused their leadership, and now we're coming to a point where that there's not as many of those spiritual teachers as leaders because we don't trust it because that system is not working for us. Anyway.
Yes, you're saying
future.
you're saying we become more sophisticated in a certain way, and maybe the ideas of leadership are changing. We're not saying it's all them, it's not me. And that's and a good leader encourages that, right? It's not me. Yeah. Let's hold on to that and see how our ideas of leadership are changing in this zeitgeist, and if they are. That's a wonderful question. And that question was taking leadership, right? I keep saying, oh, I keep being the old-fashioned leader in a way, let's go on to the next, thing. And then different ones of you say, but wait a minute, there's this, and there's this, and there's this. And each of you is taking leadership, right? So it isn't the kind of leadership where you're just following me. I love that about this group. And I think we've developed that. The new people will notice that, oh, this isn't a passive group. So many presentations, people just say yes, 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 right? Not this one, right? You people are followers and leaders at the same time, right? Your leadership is emergent out of the group. And if I were an insecure leader, facilitator, I might say, oh, I want them to be quiet so I can get to my next step, right? But knowing that leadership is emergent and that what's precious, it's what comes. Jean Genlin said, everything has to come the way laughter comes, and even though I've thought a lot about leadership, it has to come newly from me, but also from us. So we're doing that thing. I want to point out a couple of things in this list of my 10 things, and I'm not going to talk about them all because I want you to be able to go into your breakout rooms. But some of them we've talked about, this us thinking, which many of you have done, said us, even in, as Jadina just said, in our species, this us of our species, we're changing leadership. That us thinking is an amazing, the minute that somebody goes from the I to the us, you can feel a difference in the atmosphere. Taking initiative. Each of the people who've spoken have taken initiative. It's changing, this taking initiative is sort of changing the status quo. And focusing helps us to do that because there's some deep authority in us that pushes us. It's like something in us says, no, but this, and that initiative that we can take has a kind of authority in it from the felt sense. Then I want you to look at the third one, expanding. That's one that when I'm saying something, this and this and this that I've thought about, and then some of you have said, but what about this? And what about this? It's expanding the area of thinking. It's expanding the area of experiencing. And then that expansion, a leader can both expand, but also can support the expansion. Even when the expansion might be different than something I think, I can support that expansion because it's enlivening the us. And I see a hand of Susan who's been waiting to say something. So I'm going to pause for a second.
And also Marvin has had his hand up for a long time.
Oh, okay. We want to gather our ingredients before we go on. But we only have we don't even have. Yes, Marvin and Susan.
Well, I want to be quick because it sounds like you don't have a lot of time. Can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, let me just do this. One of my thoughts is that, there are different kinds of leadership for different kinds of people. And, I like a more collaborative and emergent leadership, but I'm noticing some people like a more authoritarian kind of leadership that tells them what to do. And, I don't want to judge them. And I see it's kind of entrenched in them.
Absolutely.
And I want to respect that, I think, even though it makes me uncomfortable. And I don't have an answer for that. But I think part of it is they don't want to take responsibility for making the decisions. They like the fact that somebody else makes them, and I don't know why that's so, whether it's just some personalities are like that or whether something was missing in their upbringing.
Right.
I just
So
don't know.
Susan, you're expanding the field by saying some people need authoritarian leadership and some people need it all of us need it at times. We all need somebody at certain times to say, do this.
Yeah.
A car is coming, get out of the street. We need at certain times to be told what to do. Yes, absolutely. And Marvin.
Thank you, Lynn. Coming back to the whole and what you said, being followers and leaders. It seems that a leader cannot do anything else but to follow. Whether he follows his own idea, his instinct, an example, a set of rules. Someone has said that we have to follow something. So when we are not listening to the deep authority, what are we following? There's always something else there. I don't know what it is.
Yes,
yes. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Both exist at the same time.
Yes, the leading and following are one interaction. Let's take that in a second to see how that strikes us. Leading and following are the same interaction. Okay, I want to give you at least 10 minutes for a breakout room. So I'm just going to make a couple of more remarks about how leadership is emergent and how you're taking leadership and help the helpers before we have our breakout rooms? Or do you want to make a decision not to do breakout rooms this morning? Is there any feeling about that? But I'm going to say my couple of remarks first. Yes, we
Let's
would
stay
like to
together.
stay together. How
Yeah.
many people want to stay together and continue this conversation? Mary does. How many want to go into breakout rooms? It's so interesting, isn't it? Well, those who want to go into breakout rooms will do that, and those who want to stay will stay. But I would make my notice how I was showing hands, but leadership isn't about a majority. I love that point that Greg Madison makes, that it's not about this many people want this and this many people want that. One of the things that we might not notice that we do that takes leadership is changing the conversation and deepening it. And Sashi did that. It's like we were speaking more intellectually. I had asked you what leaders you loved, but then Sashi took it to another level, a deeper level of being touched and touching us. And that often happens in focusing oriented groups, or many other kinds of groups also, of course, that when somebody takes the risk to say something a little bit more personal, that changes the whole field. Another thing is that when somebody names someone else in the group or speaks to them, when Rosa said, well, I didn't feel really represented, you know, in what I said. Rosa was responding to, who was you responding to, Rosa? I'm just blanking on that. And
to the leaders are only human too.
yes, but who was saying leaders? Oh no, to Liz, right? You were responding to Liz, and you said, "Well, Liz didn't represent me exactly what I was saying." That was taking leadership in two ways. Protest, whatever kind of protest it is taking leadership. It's saying, this isn't going the way it seems right to me. And that takes leadership. And real leadership allows for and uses and cultivates protest. That's one thing. The other thing is to say something personal to someone else in the group. You didn't get me. Or I'm concerned for you. Or when so-and-so said this, I felt this. Whenever you're talking about what I call the you and me, and you're naming someone else in the group, that's taking leadership in relationalizing the conversation. I want us to notice these things that we do and encourage ourselves to do them more, to honor the leadership in us, because we need everybody to be leaders. We need all of us. And we need all of us to be leaders in a way that we can feel belonging and held by. We need to all hold each other, hold space for each other. The other thing that you might not have noticed that we do is what I'm calling valuing. When you express a value, an ideal, you're taking leadership. You're sort of breathing out something that other people can breathe in, like breathing out, like the trees breathing out oxygen or something. You know, so when those of you who've talked about the dark side of leadership say, oh, this isn't right to have power over. And then Susan said, but we have to make room for people who need authoritarian leadership in some kinds of ways. We have to make space for that. That's taking leadership, to express your values in a way that another person can be nourished. It's like you're watering the garden with your moisture when you're valuing. Another thing that focusing people do to take leadership is to put things into words, and to put things into words that haven't been put into words. That's an amazing leadership, to say something that's right there that hasn't been said. It's explicating in focusing, making it tangible, this big thing. In one of our groups in Forge, someone said, I feel tension in the group. And there was something just about saying that, putting into words something everybody was feeling but wasn't thinking. I think that's all I'm going to say. There are many other things here, but I think we've said enough about what we actually do that's taking leadership. And those who want to be in a breakout room, you can have 10 minutes, right? Those of you who want to stay here, we're going to continue the conversation about these ways that we do take leadership, and maybe ways that we don't, that we want to. How do we want to take leadership more? So, Christine, give everybody that wants to be in a breakout room 10 minutes, and we're going to continue our discussion here in this big room at the same time.
Hi, Lynn. In the context of Jinlin teaching to be thinking about groupthink and maybe to be a little suspicious of it, we're living in a world now where there's this wink among what I was going to say conservatives, but to be clear, there's a wink among Republicans that long ago they decided to have the leader that we have in an effort to not have government in our lives or in their lives. And they allow, all manner of horror in the service of that one idea. And I wondered if you can speak about the distinction, and maybe there's not one, of Jinlin always sort of pointing to what happened in the Holocaust in a way, in his historical time and our time now.
Yeah. So, can you say just a little bit more of what you wanted me to say? Because maybe you, Mary, are saying it. Maybe you don't need me to say it. You need you to say it.
Yeah. Well, with the, up until now, my weakness has been, I was not a history major. I don't remember dates and names very well my whole life. So there's something about the recent events where there's even less of a humanity around using atomic bombs, and with AI coming in with, it's so far mostly good, but has many dangers. I really do want our writers and artists and leaders to be able to speak to this weird situation we're in, where the progressive people who want to think about wholeness are completely demonized by a lot of people who have a lot of power and money internationally.
You want us to take leadership
and to be able,
yeah, you want us. So you're wanting in a time of crisis, you're wanting people to speak out against the evils
in a cogent way that will, reach the heart of the people who have up until now allowed, horrible things to happen, the way that maybe MLK talked about changing hearts and minds, or Gandhi, or, many more humanistic leaders did. It doesn't seem to be enough right now.
I think that for me, what can I say? When we come to the we need to speak out against them, there's something for me that feels like, well, I identify with the them in some way whenever there's an us and a them. And so I'm feeling like, well, if I'm the Republicans, I'm the conservatives. I mean, this group is not a group of any perspective necessarily, except that we share a love of focusing. How can I be moved to take, if I'm the conservative, if I'm the Republican, what am I needing? And there's so many, everybody is unique and different. I think I'm not being very coherent at all.
I love
LYNN,
that. Yeah,
LYNN
I
and
love
Mary,
that, LYNN.
I am loving this exchange between the two of you. And I'm noticing that Marvin is here, and he had his hand up for a long time earlier and hasn't spoken yet. And I'm just really curious to hear what he might have.
I thought that Marvin that Marvin did speak, but I want to hear him again. Go
I
ahead,
may be
Mary.
wrong.
But you finish, Mary.
Yeah, I want to hear Marvin more too. I just wanted to say, Lynn, I love that because, that's in the vein of Thich Nhat Hanh and I Am Everyone. And my power has been in standing on the bridge, forever.
Yes, you are a real bridge person.
Yeah, however, there's something we haven't been able to articulate to have a complete whole anymore, at least in this country. Go ahead, whoever else wants to talk.
Talking about the heart, I'm not sure, but it seems that the heart has got its own voice. Most of the time it's just an amplifier of what happens in the mind. But I think it has its own voice.
The heart has its own voice. I love that. the other thing you said also, we need to make a bumper sticker of all these things that you say, Marvin, and beautifully. The heart has its own voice, and I think what Jean Genlin would say about that is the felt sense in the heart. That's what we call that in a way. Is beyond the individual human. It's like our hearts have their own voices because we have generations, we have anticipations, we have all of that we're in connection with. I feel like there was something that Mary was initiating as a conversation that needs to be continued, but I'm not sure exactly how. Mary, you're sort of raising an alarm. You're setting off a gong. You're saying this time of history is an emergency, and I think many of us agree, feel that sense of emergency. And how can we get them to do something different? And then I was pointing out the us and them. And then Mary was saying, well, she's always been a bridge person.
Yeah, Lynn, so what I wrote down in the chat when Mary started speaking is I wrote down, Mary, can we bear being demonized without demonizing others? Because I was really caught by her talking about how the progressives are being demonized right now. And then I wrote down what she said, how do we reach the hearts of those who are allowing this to happen? And I wrote, how are we allowing this to happen? How can we reach our own hearts? So I was really moved when Marvin spoke about the heart has its own voice. And yeah, I really, 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 really do think that this is a time of emergence and emergency. And how do each of us go deeper? Like, I think it can be a really good question to sit with. Like, what else or what more or what differently might I be doing? Not in a judgmental way, not in a punishing myself way, not in a I am not enough way, but in a how might I be more effective at reaching my own heart and therefore reaching others' hearts? Jack.
Does that sit right with you, Mary? Or does it leave something out?
Oh, I mean, my sense is it's not up to me. What I'm talking about came out of our Eid party with people here from different countries, and you know, a couple of very lovely Republican Muslim men were over.
Someone's
Like
typing
over.
again. Sorry, Mary, please.
No, it's okay. They were over talking this lovely man with much darker skin from Ghana who was doing his best he literally like stood up at one point because he's trying to speak to the more humanist side and concerned about raising his 7 children in this country. And I'm asking myself at the end of the party, like, how can I allow, or how can I pause it or allow this to happen in my home where the person speaking from the heart is not heard because there's this wink now these days that as long as you keep government out of our life we're going to hold up this current situation in this country.
So I get it, Mary. Those of you who are just coming back from your breakout rooms in the main room, we were talking about flagging up. Mary is flagging up this wink, and that's an interesting, that can be a term. How can we not wink at people doing things that we feel are destructive, and at the same time not make an us and a them? And we're not going to solve that problem, but we're flagging up that problem. We have our poem from Dorothy, which is a lovely sort of ending to our group. But does anybody want to say anything from your breakout room before we have our poem?
Yeah, I'd love if Orna just said what she said at the end of our meeting. It was about being human. It was just so obvious. She might say that. She might share what she said about.
Yes, Orna.
Yeah, I said that the leader is also a person, you know, and as a person, we would like him to signify the human side, to be very humane. However, I was thinking after we left the small group, the private room, I realized that my leader doesn't even recognize one of his daughters, the one from his first marriage. He's not acknowledging. It says something about his nature.
Thank you. Okay. And thank you very much, Orna. You're taking quite a bit of leadership there. Susan, very, very briefly, we're going to have our poem.
Yeah, I just appreciate the conversation and us sharing the joys, but also the pain of all the leadership issues.
Yeah, leadership issues, really. They're amazing issues, aren't they? Okay, Dorothy, let's have our poem.
Okay, this poem, I put the title and poet in the chat. It's called For a Leader, and it's by John Donahue, the Irish poet. And for Welsh, wait a minute, to look that up again. Anyway, to bless the space between us, a book of blessings is the title of his book. And this isn't the whole poem. I came in the middle. May you learn to cultivate the art of presence in order to engage with those who meet you. When someone fails or disappoints you, may the graciousness with which you engage be their stairway to renewal and refinement. May you treasure the gifts of the mind through reading and creative thinking, so that you continue as a servant of the frontier, where the new will draw its enrichment from the old. And may you never become a functionary. May you know the wisdom of deep listening, the healing of wholesome words, the encouragement of the appreciative gaze, the decorum of held dignity, the springtime edge of the bleak question. May you have a mind that loves frontiers, so that you can evoke the bright fields that lie beyond the view of the regular eye. May you have good friends to mirror your blind spots. May leadership be for you a true adventure of growth.
Oh, wow. That's a perfect poem for our discussion this morning. Thank you all very much. Bye-bye now. See you next week.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Lynn.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.